Ready. And action. Is it working? I hope it's working. Here we go. Hey, 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 hi ho, hey, hi ha, hey, 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 hey. Oh, hello there. Stop singing. All that noise. Well, I hope that wonderful bell did not overwhelm my microphone. I'm going to put it over here for a second. Well, as you can see, I'm using a bell to sing an Indian song, which is actually from the Northwest coast inland. If I remember right, on the Colville res, way back in the good old days, and the crazy Indian lived out there. We'd have these Longhouse medicine dances, and some of the Quaker Indians, they'd use a bell instead of a hand drum. And in other longhouses, we'd use I'm using, of course, now because I don't have a elderberry staff, an old mop handle. And we'd sit in these wonderful longhouses and we'd sing all night long. You have to stay up all night in order to get the ceremony right and to get the medicine to work properly. And we'd sing our songs like, hey, hey, hey. And there'd be a whole bunch of Indians, and we'd all be in this big longhouse, and they'd darken it, and the only thing you could see is the fire burning in the middle, and we'd be singing our songs, and we'd get up and we'd dance, and it was really cool. Never mind. All right, enough of that. Let's focus. I can throw that because that's not a sacred staff. It is a broom handle. Now, here's some stuff that we have discussed so far in this class. We have discussed what is literature and opening up the canons in literature. And how do we determine what is native in native literature? We discussed indigenous aesthetics, a little bit of indigenous authenticity, and what makes a good story. We also looked at the Popol Vuh and the Hero Twins, and I posted a video for you guys to have a look at. I believe that video was from 1984, 85. I don't remember the year. What else we got? Hunahu and Habelenke. Those are the Hero Twins. That's the name down south of the border, but up here, my tribe or our tribe of Potawatomi, the Algonquian Indians, we call them Wena and Wishka, the Hero Twins. I have forgotten what the Dene people call them. Then we got a bunch of creation stories we looked at in particular in our textbook: the creation of Earth, the creation of man or the real people, coyote, rabbit, superglue, coyote superglue to be specific. The woman who fell from the earth, that's in our textbook. We also looked at some generations and we remember some themes that we looked at, which is themes of resistance, survival, rebirth, identity, and reconnection. So, as you may or may not remember, in native culture and tradition, when the newcomers came along with their crosses, crucifixes, and they told us to, what was it, kill the Indians and save the man, they'd take our kids away from their parents and shuttle them off to some boarding school and shave their hair and try to turn them into little white kids. We know this. And there's a disconnect. The kids would come back from boarding school and they'd be alienated from their own families and cultures and parents. And it was really depressing. And as these kids grew up, they grew up with a lot of problems and struggles for survival. And then some of them started resistance uh, movements and struggles to rebirth and reclaim their reconnect and reclaim their traditional identities. We did discuss all this, right? Right. All right. Let's keep going. We looked at the Ortner versus Allen, etic versus emic debate about the roles of women, the traditional roles of Native women in particular. Some various stories that we looked at: soft heads, the Mexican flag, octopus lady and crew, how Raven stole the sun. What is diffusion versus independent invention? The story of Chief of the Birds and Father's Love Stone. We also looked at art for art's sake versus artistic urgency. In our textbook, it's called Art for Life's Sake. Remember that from our textbooks? I hope so. What else? N. Scott Momaday and the Native Renaissance. Sherman Alexie, Tiffany Midge, and Native Humor. We've got some of Hobson's. This is Gary Hobson's Aesthetics. Discussions more of residential schools up in Canada. That's what we call them. Down here in the States, we call them Indian boarding schools. There was also a discussion of Freytag's pyramid of plot and Campbell's circle of plot. Also, natives in the military, and a whole big bunch of discussions about the Chumash Indians, adaptation, urban Indians, rural Indians, rancherias, micro Indian reservations. Up in Canada, they have little teeny tiny reses. Down here in the States, we got little ones, especially in California, we call them rancherias. So that's what we were looking at. That's where we stopped pretty much. Now, in the next section, there's going to be a discussion of literary criticism. But before I get into that, just a reminder, when I was talking about the use of the bell, I believe those natives up on the inland northwest coast, this is primarily Washington State and parts of Oregon. I was told that those guys are Quaker, because they're Christian Quaker Indians, but they blended um, Christianity with a native tradition, which I think is really cool, as opposed to just rejecting Christianity outright. These guys blended it with native tradition, and one of the things they did was they have these old native songs, and the elder would be ringing the bell and singing the song like that. And then, as I mentioned before, the other one is the Longhouse tradition, where we sing our songs like this, and all gathered around in the Longhouse, and we sing like this. Keep in mind that I'm trying to explain to you, well, what does this have to do with Native literature? Because the stories were being told in the Longhouse and in the long, I don't know if you can call it a long church, um, these buildings where we would get together and have our ceremonies. We'd be including stories alongside the various ceremonies. Now, here on the plains, we know hand drums, and we might not get exposure to some other tribes and other traditions. And that's another thing why I showed you the clap sticks that are used by, well, I didn't use a real clap stick. I used, I don't know, what is the, some kind of brush or something, and I click, clack, clack, clack. That song, hey, 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 yo, go, and the other one, hename, 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 chichayo. In those Western traditions, you cannot sing the chichayo song in the winter. You have to wait till it warms up, because chichayo means bear. And the other one that went, hey, 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 that was another bear song. You don't sing those in the wintertime because the bear are sleeping. And there's a quick story. I try not to overdo it because I'm already yacked for like 14 freaking minutes, 15 minutes. The story about the hename, hename. Well, the quick version. This is a Chumash song. Chichayo meaning bear. As a little boy. And this little boy was so little, and all the other little kids wouldn't play with him because he was like the runt of the tribe, you see. And the little boy went out playing by himself because none of the other little kids would play with him because he was such a runt. And he found I don't want to say, a family of bears, little baby bears, bear cubs running around, and he started playing with them. And hename, 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 chichai. It starts off slow because they're running around a bush. You know that old song, "Round and Round the Merry-Go Bush." You know the English song, Mulberry Bush. That's what it is. Round and round the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the wee. So it's similar in that respect, that this little teeny tiny boy is playing with these little bear cubs, and they're running around, and he's singing to them, "Hey bear, come over here and show me how big you are," because the little bear, even the bear cubs, were bigger than he was, but they were playing and they were running around this bush, and they'd run faster and faster and faster, and they kept going and going and going, and then Mother Bear comes out, and instead of attacking the little boy, she takes the little boy home with her and adopts him and brings him back to the den. And the little boy almost becomes a bear. And they had to call a medicine man to search for the boy. Eventually, they found him. The story goes that um, the medicine man had to call out make a woo sound to make the little baby bears come out. And when they got the baby boy, they grabbed him and ran with him. And Mother Bear found out and was chasing after them and attacked them, and attacked the medicine man. Was killed, but everybody else got away. But the little baby boy, bear boy, he was never the same. He always had that weird bear look in his eyes, and he became a bear medicine man. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I'm already 17 minutes and 35 seconds into the game. We're going to knock it off there, and I urge you to continue on with today's lesson. Thank you so much for your patience. You guys have an awesome week. Talk to you later.